Hello, welcome back to another episode of The Towel Boy, where we try to give you the cleanest takes in sports. Uh, we are back. It's been a while since we have had an episode, but I am very excited to talk about today's episode. Um, Talking about some underrated prospects for the upcoming NBA draft. Today we are on the eve of college basketball season. The NBA has been going on for about 2 weeks, so we are in the thick of basketball season, which is my favorite time of the year. Super exciting. And if you've been following this channel, if you follow my blog, follow the Towel Boy, you know that the draft is my favorite thing. Watching prospects, trying to predict how they will translate from college to the pros, and seeing just those skills develop throughout the season, right? We all have our ideas of how players will look in the preseason. There are always going to be some that disappoint, some that kind of jump off the page, some that catch us by surprise. So I'm talking about nine prospects here that I think preseason will be able to outperform their expectations, who I think will maybe be under the radar kind of going into the season, but I think can really jump off the page for people that are in the draft community. Maybe they are some players are people that I think are top 10 picks that might just be considered first round picks. I'm going to talk about some people who are not on the radar really of many people who I think can either play into the second round or at least get G League two-way looks. Um, and of course, this is all just my projection, what I've seen from years past or previous exposure and competitions, because the season coming up, who knows what's going to happen, right? People will get hurt. Unfortunately, there's always injuries. Different players will step up. Some people might not take that leap that you will project. But without further ado, I'm going to get into a couple players that I think really have a chance to have a special season and really boost their draft profile. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Roman Sualepa. Um, he's going to Pittsburgh, the Australian wing forward type. He's playing at Pitt this year, and I'm really excited to watch him play. He was a pretty well regarded prospect coming into the year, but he really kind of blew onto the scene this summer at the U19 FIBA World Cup. He had multiple double doubles, was maybe the best player on the court when Australia played uh, the highly touted prospects from America, right? The heavy favorites every year in the World Cup, he averaged 19 points, 8 rebounds, was really one of the best performers for the entire tournament. So that's truly where he caught my eye as a actual one and done NBA prospect. Now, do I truly think that he is a surefire one and done player? No, I do not. I think there's definitely some question marks in his game. And I think more than likely, at least 2 years will probably be the best for Sualepa. For his NBA career, to kind of refine his skills and really get to the where he needs to be a productive NBA player. Um, but he's a good athlete. I think he can be one of the leading freshman scorers in the ACC. He's super strong. He's about 6'6", 225, maybe 230, but he plays like a linebacker. He's super strong. He uses his strength, uses his athleticism. His versatility with his size, I think, can create matchup problems because he's bigger than most wings. He's bigger, stronger than most wings, but he's quicker than most forwards. So it allows for some potential versatility with what position he plays, especially on the defensive end, right? He can guard, I really think, 1 through 4, maybe some small ball five if they really want to get crazy with it. So I think his versatility is a huge weapon for him, a huge strength for him. But offensively is really where I have my question marks and where he needs to show that he is a NBA prospect, for me at least. Looking at his shooting and his playmaking ability, I think he definitely needs to improve that, especially now playing in the NCAA against older, tougher competition night in, night out. I want to see can his shooting does he have translatable shooting abilities? I think defensively he is one of the best prospects in this draft. But offensively, I want to look to see can he improve in some areas. I think he's going to be a really good slasher. I think when he gets downhill into the paint, he'll be able to score. Hopefully, get to the line. But really, can he shoot? 'Cause you have to shoot to make it to the NBA. And can he doesn't have to be a special playmaker, but can he make the simple good reads? Can he make the pass out of double teams? Those are the things I'm looking for with Solepa. All this being said, I think his versatility and the fact that he can play so many positions, I really do think he has first round potential. No, I've seen some people who agree with the first round towards the end of the first round, and I've seen some people who don't have him as a really on the radar draft guy for this cycle. overall. So I am pretty high on Sualepa, and I'm really excited to see how he can play this season for his freshman season. The next person I want to talk about is definitely more of a household name in the college basketball community. I'm talking about the senior center from Oregon, Nate Biddle. Biddle tested the draft waters last season, decided to come back to Eugene for one more season. And I think he's going to be one of the best players in all of college basketball. I think he's going to be an all-American type player. Perhaps he's got a chance to be the best big man center in the entire country, I think. Last year, he was all Big Ten defensive team, and I think he has potential to really challenge for an All American and even National Defensive Player of the Year. Elite rim protector. He's about 6'11", a 7 foot plus wingspan. There's not a lot of people that can protect the paint better than Biddle. Uh, he's long enough and quick enough. He can guard on the perimeter a little bit, but I do think that his lateral quickness is one thing that you would like to see improve just to translate to the NBA, right? You can always improve your athleticism, and that's never going to be a bad thing. I don't think he's a bad athlete or a bad perimeter defender for his size. Um, but again, that's something that you always will look to improve just because, especially at the NBA with so many switches, I don't think you can just be a drop coverage type center to be a full time starting center. I think Biddle has a lot of similarities to last year's prospect Ryan Kalkbrenner, although I think Biddle is a much more talented offensive player. Maybe not quite the rim protector Kalkbrenner was, but what he lacks in that small lacks in that area, I think he makes up for it on the offensive end. Biddle he's a lot stronger than he looks. You know, he's not the biggest, most like jacked guy, but he's really strong in the paint and good footwork, good touch in the post, and he can really score in the post. He can shoot decent from three. Now he shoots about 33% from behind the arc, so not an elite clip, but for a near 7 footers, you will definitely take that. So he has the ability to pick and roll, pick and pop, space the floor, some offensive versatility from a near 7 footer. Uh, I think he's a really good rebounder, especially on the defensive end. I think he really can clean the glass. I would like to see some improvements. The areas I would like to see him improve for him to even boost his draft profile even more is his playmaking, especially out of the double team. Last season, I think that at times when he would get blitzed by opposing teams, you could see him getting a little bit rushed, a little bit flustered. But now that's not saying he's necessarily a bad passer, right? You definitely saw him make some smart reads. He would make the correct play more often than not. But you can never it's not a bad thing, like I said, with his lateral quickness as well, to improve your decision making, to become an even better passer, to improve your all around game. So that's one thing I really want to see from Biddle is just how can he play because Jackson Shellstead, their all conference guard, is going to miss the first couple of weeks of the season. And so Biddle is going to be the entire scouting report for opposing teams to start the season, right? He's the Ducks' number one player. He's the big returner, the big name coming back. So I'm excited to see how Biddle can really play as the primary focus for opposing teams. I think he's going to be one of the best players in all of college basketball. And I think with his defensive ability and his offensive potential, I I really don't see a world where he's not a first round pick in this upcoming draft. He is an older prospect, but we have seen in the last couple of years that matters less and less. Now, I will say there are more exciting freshmen potentially entering this draft, so that could change for this draft. But I think Biddle is one of the most well-rounded and polished big men in this draft. Look at how he can improve offensively, making reads out of the double team, maybe improve his athleticism overall is something that you would like to see, maybe for that NBA boost. But I'm expecting an All-American season from Biddle. I'm expecting him to be a first-round pick in this upcoming draft. I'm excited to see how he plays. I think this Oregon team preseason on the roster is not the strongest roster that Dana Altman has put out there over the last couple of seasons, but I think the talent of Biddle as well as Shellstead when he comes back, those are two of the best players in all of college basketball. Probably two top 30, top 40 players in all of college basketball. I think that's a good enough duo to bring them to the tournament to maybe win a game or two. So I'm really excited to see how this season goes in Eugene, and I think Biddle will be the main reason for that. I've seen some people give Nate um, a shout for the end of the first round, but from what I've seen, he's mostly been a second round projection. But I think that if he does barring injury, and he does what he's supposed to do and what he's capable of, I think that Biddle is a surefire first round guy for me. Now, speaking of uh, players who are surefire first round guys, I'm talking about Patrick Ngongba, the second from Duke. Now, this one is less of an underrated type player because pretty much everybody has him consensus first round. I've seen a couple people have him sneaking into the lottery, but for me right now, he's a top 10 prospect into the season. I don't think there's going to be a much more uh, talented offensive big man in the entire country other than like the top five picks, right? The Cam Boozers or whatever. I think Gongba is he's an extremely talented player. He only averaged 4 points, rebounds per game last season, but in quite limited minutes, right? If you look at the advanced stats, he had an incredibly productive freshman season. He had that insane 156 offensive rating, which is, saying how many points a person will contribute to a team per 100 possessions, right? An elite 11.3 box plus minus, which is a really good indicator of a person, a prospect, how they will translate to the NBA. So he had 11.3 more points per 100 possessions added to his team than the average college player. Super high rating, right? Now those numbers are probably going to be inflated due to the fact that he played very limited minutes. But I think we're going to see a bump in his minutes for sure. And I don't think the production is going to go down a crazy amount. I think he's a special offensive talent, one of the best passing big men, I think, in all of college basketball. I think he's going to be a special playmaker off the DHO, short roll. I think the front court with him and Cam Boozer is going to be really special to watch, really fun with all the talent surrounding those two. So I think the versatility in the offensive game of Ngongba is going to be super, super fun to watch, right? The areas I want to see him improve, his defensive ability. Can he move laterally a little bit quicker? I will say in the exhibitions, it looks like he slimmed down a little bit, which should help with his athleticism and his defensive question marks. I want to see him become a better rebounder. Um, Now, I think he's a decent rebounder, but I want to see him be better off the glass. And again, I think his improvement athletically will be able to help him in the rebounding end. And then I want to see him shoot the ball more. I think he's got good touch, but I want to see him shoot the ball more from the perimeter. He shoots well from the free throw line, but doesn't really shoot threes. Didn't shoot a three last year. Um, I think he shot one three as a freshman in his freshman season, but he shot the ball in their exhibitions against, and it looks clean. Like the form looks good. I think that in going, but I'm talking about him in this not because he's an underrated prospect, but I think I'm higher on him than most people. I think he has potential to be the first center drafted in this class. Really special offensive talent. If he shows any improvement on the defensive end and with the increased usage with his minutes, I really think that he can be a surefire top 10 pick in this upcoming draft. Now, talking about another center that I think this center is definitely underrated in the more of the traditional sense. Talking about Ernest Uday Jr., the senior center, transfer from TCU, going to Miami. Uh, One of the most underappreciated big men in the country over the last couple of seasons, in my opinion. And I was excited and surprised to see him be announced to the preseason Kareem Abdul-Jabbar watch list. You know, the watch list for the top center. That's the award for the top center in college basketball. Uday's not going to have, if you look at his statistics, the eye-popping 20 points per game, 15 rebounds. Not going to have the craziest on-paper statistics. But when you watch the Horned Frogs basketball last year, you could feel um, his importance to that team. He missed a few games, and his presence was surely missed whenever he was not on the court. Right, one of those guys that you can just feel their absence. Honorable mention All Big 12, one of the best defenders in the Big 12 last season. Ranked, had top marks rebounding, top marks blocks per game. And I'm really excited to see how he fits under Jay Lucas in this new Miami team. Miami has a lot of talent this season coming in. Trey Donaldson, Malik Renault, Shelton Henderson is an exciting freshman. So I am excited to see how they compete. This pretty much brand new look team. Uh, Uday is one of the best rebounders in the nation. Uh, Especially on the offensive glass. I really think that he's a special offensive rebounder, and that's a really great skill set that you want to have, especially with someone at his size. At 6'11", about 260 pounds, he is one of the freakiest athletes in the nation, right? Elite vertical lob threat. About over 70% of his baskets have been dunks off the lobs or just in the paint. He's too athletic, will jump, dunk all over you. And I think that his presence in the paint defensively, again, maybe he doesn't have the most insane block numbers, but he's one of the highest stocks guys in the entire country. Talking about steals and blocks, insane amount of deflections due to his athletic ability, right? He can guard the perimeter. Guys his size should not be able to move as quick as he does. He can recover back to his man quickly. He can guard guards, guard big men. Really good defensive center who I think will be one of the best all around defenders in the entire country. And that alone will get him buzz for the NBA, right? Now, offensively is where his game lacks a little bit. Um, Especially scoring wise, right? He shoots just about 55%, I think, from the free throw line over his career. Never shot a three-pointer, right? You can tell that shooting is when he shoots free throws, his form is not there yet. So you want to see improvement for just shooting overall because someone of his size should be able to get to the line because people can't guard him and just have to foul him, right? But that does not mean he's an offensive liability. He's a very smart, high IQ player, really good off the DHO with the ball in his hands, right? Makes this good passes, smart, capable passer with the ball in his hands. He can handle the ball a little bit, like, in those zoom actions that they're talking about. Um, so I'm really excited to see how Miami utilizes that ability of him offensively. So I think Uday really has the potential to sneak into the NBA draft. I think his offensive limitations might cap his ceiling in the NBA, or at least his draft ceiling. I don't think he's going to be a first rounder. I think he's going to be more of a sneaking into that second round for people looking to add more big man depth, which teams are always looking to add big man depth, especially a guy who's this athletic, has this much defensive versatility in the paint and on the perimeter. So I'm excited to see how Uday looks in the ACC. I think he's one of the more underrated prospects in this draft. Next guy I'm talking about, I'm pretty excited to see how this guy looks because I was really, really high on him as a freshman, and then injury has really kind of cut his career a little bit short off of what I thought his potential might be. In 2022, 2023 season with Houston, Terrence Arsenault is who I'm talking about. That 2022 freshman season, he was an All-American conference freshman team member, right? But then tore his Achilles about 10 games into his sophomore season. Uh, really cut off all momentum for him. And then last year, it really looked like obviously he's coming off an Achilles tear. So last year didn't quite have that same athleticism and burst that I saw his freshman season. So hopefully this year he really kind of comes into his own, feels fully like he's himself again, because I think he can be a game-changing uh defender. On the perimeter, he's long, wiry, right? He's about 6'6". And I really think that he can be one of the best perimeter defenders in the entire country. Former top recruit out of high school. I I really think that he can make a case to be an all defensive type player, right? He can guard 1 through 4, maybe 1 through 5 if you really want to go small, but 1 through 4. And then, so that defensive ability alone, I think, can really make him on the radar for the second round of the NBA draft. He's not going to sneak into the first round conversations, I don't think, because he's definitely limited on the offensive end. I think the comparison I have for him right now is of Harrison Ingram, who was the number 48 pick in the 2024 draft out of North Carolina. Harrison Ingram was known for be a good defender, about the same size, a little bit taller than Arsenault, but not quite the elite athlete that Arsenault is. Um, Arsenault, I think, if he shows improvement on the offensive end as a slasher, as a cutter, driving downhill, uses elite athleticism, and then Harrison Ingram only shot like 32%, 31% in the first couple of years at Stanford, and then shot about 38% from three at North Carolina, which really boosted his draft profile. Arsenault, similar statistics to those first couple of seasons of Ingram. If Arsenault can even shoot 35% from three, pair that with his slashing ability and his defensive ability, I think that he can garner second round interest. So he's kind of a sleeper pick for me. Guard out of NC State, Terrence Arsenault, I believe, can surprise people and become an NBA prospect. Uh, Now, next guy, Andrei Stojakovic, going to be a junior guard out of Illinois, one of the most skilled offensive players in the nation. Last year at Cal, he averaged nearly 18 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, got to the free throw line at an extremely high rate, like multiple games getting to the free throw line, digit times, which is one of the things I look at the most when it comes to will this player be able to score at the NBA level? If you can get to the free throw line, you're going to have the ability to get points in the NBA level, right? He can get to his spots despite being, I would say, below average vertical athlete. The fact that he's really good balance, good slitheriness, kind of is an adjective I like to use, even though probably not a word, right? So he has not the traditional sense of athleticism that you would think of, but he can score the ball. And now his efficiency definitely subpar, right? Shot below 50% from two in both of his seasons in college. Only 32%, about 32% from three. Now, that could be, I think his efficiency will improve because he has such an insanely high uh, usage rate, right? In the first 2 years. Crazy amount of pressure on him to be the guy. At Cal last year, he was the only weapon for that Golden Bears team. About 28% usage rate, top 10 highest in the ACC. So much pressure on his shoulders. So he had to shoot whenever, wherever. So I bet his efficiency will improve in Illinois, which is one of the things that I am looking forward to seeing. How does he work with other more talented players, right? He's now going to be in Illinois, and people like Kylan Boswell, the Ivicic brothers, they're going to have the ball in their hands a lot, being NBA prospects themselves. Can Stojakovic play off ball more? Can he be a little bit more of a catch and shoot threat, right? Can he slash downhill, making that 45 angle cut, right? All those different things. We know he's a top offensive talent. I want to see can he do things off ball, surrounded by other more talented players. I don't think he's ever going to be a great defender. Um, so if he can become an even average defender, that will, I think, boost him into that first round conversation. Can he play make for others? Low assist rate, not necessarily an elite passer. He's definitely a score first type player. So can he improve those all around parts of his game offensively? If he does, I think he's a first round talent, 100%. Right now, I think he would definitely get drafted, probably more of a second round guy. I think he can work his way up into that first round. Now, the next guy that I want to talk about is a guy I am super high on. I like this prospect a lot. Talking about Cam Williams, sophomore wing, guard wing, playing for Kentucky this year after playing at Tulane. Quietly one of the best freshmen in the entire country last year, in my opinion. About 9 points per game, 5 rebounds, 2.5 stocks per game, which is incredibly impressive for a freshman. He's about 6'8", 220 pounds. Unique size for someone that has his ability, right? Uh, he shot 41% from three off of about 4 attempts per game last year as a freshman, which is insanely impressive, especially for a guy of his size. The fact that he can shoot so well will put him on NBA radars no matter what. Now, I want to see him complement his 3 point game a little bit offensively, get to the paint more, right? He didn't, he only shot about, I think it was like two to 3 attempts per game inside the paint. Mix it up, shoot, catch and shoot threes, shoot more threes, but you have the size, you have the strength. I want to see Williams get into the paint a little bit more. I'm excited. I think he's going to be one of those hyper juiced up role players for Kentucky. They have a plethora of talent that they're bringing in from the transfer portal, high school talents. He's going to be one of those role players that just does his job and contributes to winning. I maybe not puts up the craziest stat line that you're going to say, "Oh, this is a first round NBA guy," but when you watch the film, see all the little things that he does, I think that he's going to get first round interest. Only going to be a sophomore guy that of his size and strength that can shoot the ball, and I think he's a really good defender. I think that he can guard on the perimeter, maybe 1 through 5, from the guard all the way down to small ball center. I really think he's going to do whatever Mark Pope asks for him. And I think he's going to be a guy that can really show up in first round mock drafts halfway through the season. So Cam Williams, even though there might be more talented guys, more guys that you've heard of, Otega Owe, Denzel Aberdeen's coming over. You have Jaden Quaintance, Brandon Garrison, who are all first round potential guys. I think Cam Williams is going to put his name in that hat too. Jasper Johnson, Malachi Moreno, those highly talented freshmen. Cam Williams, I think, is just as good, just as deserving as first round NBA buzz as those guys. The next guy I want to talk about, one of my favorite players in all of college basketball last season, Michael Ratai, transfer from Oregon State to Baylor. I think the most underrated pickup in the offseason. To me, he was a top 10 player in the portal, and for Scott Drew snagging him up, I think is a fantastic fit. I think he's going to be like a juiced up, even better offensive player than Norchad Omir was for Baylor last year. Can rebound the ball, can score the ball, Versatile enough defender that can switch, probably play the 3 through 5 defensively, about 6'8", about 230 pounds. Ratai, I think, offers a lot, especially on the offensive end. For a um, below average, say, Oregon State team last year, he was a bright spot for that team. All West Coast Conference type player, averaged 17 points per game, insane efficiency, right? While he doesn't shoot um, a ton from the 3 point line. He still shot about 35%, excuse me, from the 3 point line, which you will absolutely take for a person who scores as well as he does inside the arc. He gets to the line at a high rate, which we talked about earlier, is a fantastic indicator to me that a player has translatable offensive abilities. Now, I want to see Ratai improve his playmaking, right? Limit his turnovers. Last year, I don't think he playmates for others as well as you would like to see for an NBA guy. But again, that was an Oregon State team that lacked overall talent, right? So I want to see Ratai kind of improving that ability. I want to see him improve his handle and how he can get downhill at times. If teams kind of created that wall for him, you can see him get flustered, return the ball over. Uh, he has the size to kind of bully people. But oftentimes last year, you would see him revert to drive, get stopped, try to spin. And that spin, sometimes he would lose control of the ball. So I want to see him improve his handle a little bit. Uh, he's not an explosive athlete, so he doesn't offer rim protection. He's not the quickest, so he can't really guard the smaller, shiftier guards. So I think defensively is definitely where you want to see improvement for him to truly get NBA look. He's not a guy that has like the measurables or the athleticism of a typical NBA prospect, but he has the IQ, the savviness. I call him a Swiss Army knife type player. I think he's for sure going to get at least a two-way contract eventually and can play in the league for a long time. I think he's a smart player, a really skilled offensive player, especially. And I think he's going to be one of the most underrated players. I think he's going to be an all Big Ten, I mean, sorry, all Big 12 type player down in Waco. So Michael Ratai, the senior forward playing for Baylor this season. And then the last player I want to talk about is a guy that I don't think is a super well known NBA guy. And I don't really think he's an NBA prospect for this season, but I think he's a guy worth mentioning because I think he really fulfills that underrated aspect. You know what I mean? I'm talking about Sam Walters, going to be the junior forward playing for SMU this season. Freshman season at Alabama didn't play a ton. Last year, season cut short due to injury, but also didn't play a ton. Um, at Michigan. So now he's going to be at SMU, his third team in 3 years. I think you can see that breakout season coming. Uh, if you look at his per 40 stats, per 40 minutes, you would think that he's one of the best offensive players in the nation, right? Per 40 in his career, averaging about 17 points per game, shooting 38% from three on 9 attempts per game per 40 minutes. Now, obviously, those numbers are going to dip down below. He's not going to shoot 9 attempts per game if he gets those minutes, but it gives you a glimpse into the offensive potential that he has. There's not a lot of 6'10 guys that can shoot the ball from the perimeter like Walters can. So that's why I wanted to give him a quick little mention because 6'10 guys shooting the ball near 40% is always going to get interest from pro teams, NBA teams. So I think if he has that jump in production that I'm kind of predicting him to have for the Mustangs this season, I think he's going to be a guy that for that 2027 draft is really going to create some buzz, create some interest. There we go. There we have it. I'm so excited for this upcoming season. I got my big board coming out soon, but these are some guys that I think can outperform their expectations coming into this draft. We talked about Roma Sualepa, freshman and wing forward from Pittsburgh. What can he do offensively, right? Nate Biddle, senior center out of Oregon. Overall, his production, I think he's a first round talent. Patrick Gongba, can he be a top 10 first center taken off the board? Ernest Uday out of Miami, can he play his way into the NBA draft? Terrence Arsenault, super sleeper guy out of NC State. If he that crazy athleticism can maybe predict to be an NBA player. Andre Stojakovic out of Illinois, how does he play with others? Can he play make for others, play off the ball a little bit more? Cam Williams going to be that juiced up, hyper, hyper efficient role player for Kentucky, contributes to winning. Michael Ratai, same thing, will score the ball inside out, contribute to winning in the Big 12. Sam Walters, underrated shooting forward. How will these guys look for this upcoming season? I think they're going to be bigger and better players than what a lot of people expect. Please comment below who you guys think are going to be underrated NBA prospects, what players you are most excited to look for to watch for this college basketball season. As always, I wrote about these 9 players in my blog, hoopsandstuff.blogspot.com. I went a little bit more in depth. Please give that a read, give that a look. Always love when hearing your guys' thoughts, your comments. And I'm just excited. It's basketball season, college basketball coming up. So here's some underrated NBA prospects for the upcoming draft. And guys, I'm looking forward to watching during the college basketball season. Thanks for watching. Until next time, see ya.